Hi guys, and welcome to Worlds Collide. This is week 4. We're joined again here with Kenny. And want to let them know what we're doing this week?
Today we are going to be discussing Sabrina. It's a little bit of a different topic, but she did actually start out as a comic character within the Archie's comic series.
Yeah, so that's kind of a little bit of tidbit of information that I didn't know about when we were in the comic book store the other day. We were in Heroes, and Mitch and Kenny, they're picking up comics left and right, and they're like, oh yeah, here we go, here's the Archie's line with like Sabrina.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh okay, there it is. I think it was I was reading up, it was issue 22.
Issue 22 of the Archie's Madhouse, which is kind of like an anthology of different like one-off sketches, and the people who initially wrote that, like they had set Sabrina as the lead story in there, and with a few other side ones. They had originally thought of Sabrina as a side character, like just a one-off, nothing else. But then she became popular enough that they actually started introducing her into the main storyline of Archie as like a side character that would come in because she was a witch and she'd get up to hilarious hijinks with her magic. Because no one knew she had the magic, but she'd like try and do stuff to help, and she'd just be a fun side character. And then she eventually got her own spin-off series of comics as well.
One quick question, and I don't know if you know the answer. Did anyone in this world know that she has magic?
Initially, no. In a more recent one, in like a relaunch that took place, well, it was actually ended in like 2017. She, in like the new Riverdale relaunch that took on like a more adult theme.
Chilling Adventures, you mean?
No. So in the...
Oh, you mean Riverdale, sorry.
So in the new Riverdale comics...
Yes.
Jughead does find out, and there is a plot line later on as well that involves it, and also Salem causes some trouble screwing around. So some people do, and then in the... actual Chilling Adventures comic that the Netflix series is based from is Harvey does find out and stuff happens because of that, which we'll touch on later. Okay,
so that'll be food for thought.
Yes.
You guys gotta wait a little bit. Alright, so I guess we might as well start with discussing the universe. Let's highlight some of the key things that are going on in this universe, aside from obviously Riverdale and Greendale being on the same map, being pretty close in proximity to each other. They're basically, the next town over kind of thing?
Yeah. So it's literally just like, it's played off as like, Greendale exists here, Riverdale exists there. And in some of the comic storylines, Sabrina does actually live in Riverdale, as opposed to living in Greendale.
Oh, okay.
Just because of the way the stories are played, it's better to have her living in Greendale than living living in Riverdale than in Greendale.
Well, if she's appearing on all the Archie comics, that kind of makes sense that she lives in Riverdale as opposed to Greendale. Now, do you have any idea the proximity of these two cities? Is it kind of like Lucan to London or London to Toronto?
Probably more akin. It's definitely not as far as. Probably more akin to like Lucan in London or Dorchester in London.
Right.
London, Ontario. We're not speaking London, England.
No, we're not across the pond.
Because like I know in the TV show for Sabrina, they mention about how it's just across the river.
Yeah.
Riverdale is just across the river from Greendale where they are.
Right. So that makes sense that for them to travel from town to town maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not like that far of a drive.
Okay, cool. Are there any new movies coming out that you're looking forward to in the whole Archie or Sabrina universe?
Have
we gotten any information on them doing another movie from either the spin-offs Netflix series?
Well, they are supposed... So, I've heard that there's going to be another season of Riverdale, and then Sabrina is also renewed for... Well, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is renewed for season 3 and 4 already.
Well, you've seen the end of Riverdale? Or no, you gave up on Riverdale?
I kind of gave up on Riverdale.
Alright, well, I held in there. So, I actually watched the season finale just the other night of Riverdale, and the way it ended, it was doing the whole, what was it, gargoyles? Yeah, it was like gargoyles and something. The board game basically rip-off of Dungeons & Dragons. So, the climax of that finale, it kind of does like a jump scene, like end of next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was kind of like, oh, someone's body's getting buried. Like, they're getting rid of clothes and items and whatever the hell valuables there are. And then it's like, yeah, someone's not there. One of the main group. And so I was like, holy crap, okay, so there will be one more season of this. And then as far as Sabrina, I just finished season 2 the other night as well.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of that season, she's what? She wants to go get her boyfriend out of hell.
Yeah, Nick is currently a vessel trying to contain Satan, and he is down stuck in hell, along with Lilith. All praise Lilith. Church of Lilith all the way.
Church of Lilith.
So the next season of Sabrina will obviously be about Sabrina trying to go to hell and get her boyfriend Nick back, while also trying to stop Satan. And it is mentioned there is a way to stop Satan. It's the silver sphere.
Hey, Haddockos, thanks for joining us.
Hey, welcome. Hope you enjoy this episode.
Yeah, I know it's a little change of pace from the normal Marvel DC universe.
Just a little different.
Yeah, Kenny's good at bringing in the oddities, we'll say.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago we did Scott Pilgrim.
Yes, exactly. And then who knows what the future has?
Maybe for a laugh, Sailor Moon.
You know what? You know what? Madison was talking about that today. She was like, "Yes, you do Sailor Moon next," and I was like, "Well, it happens to be that when we were in the comic book store just the other week, we were joking about that, and we were discussing the origination of Sailor Moon and how the Japanese version is a little more erotic."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know about Sailor Moon, guys.
One episode 2 I really want to try and do is Akira.
I don't know
But
Akira, so I'm gonna have to do a little anime research because I hear this guy's twisted.
Like I can lend you the video. Like I own the Blu-ray DVD. So
That's a good start.
yeah.
That's a good start.
The only issue is I've never fully read the manga it's based on.
I think that's what you said, yeah, because they had the
So,
full manga there in
yeah.
Heroes the other day. So maybe that'll be a potential. We've suggestion from the audience here. Sailor Moon. We'll put it on the back burner for now. It might get, sidelogged for later days because there's more important people to talk about. But without further ado, thank you for your input.
Yeah.
And
let's get back to Sabrina.
Yeah, let's get back to Sabrina. Alright, so Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That's probably where a lot of people know her from.
Yeah. So the most popular one that everyone knows is the 1996 live action starring Melissa Joan Hart.
Yes.
And so there is a few changes to that canon, which actually changed the comics as well.
What were the most notable ones?
So the first notable, which didn't really have an effect, was they changed the town that she lived in from Greendale to Westbridge, Massachusetts, I think. So that's like the first really big change. It didn't have any effect on the comic of that.
Now, okay, so they changed the name of the town. Was it always basically in Massachusetts?
It was kind of always up in the air about specifically where it is. Kind of like Riverdale, you never know.
It's on the map, you just don't know what map or where.
Yeah, you don't know which state or continent it's on, but you know it's set vaguely within like America and vaguely within like probably like the
mid-southern
eastern United States.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where Massachusetts is.
it's not full-blown Texas, but it's not New York. They're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, something like an arboreal forest.
Okay, so that makes sense. What were other notable changes that they did?
So in some of the older canon, there was actually wands involved in casting magic.
Yeah, they got rid of that. It was all just hocus pocus, hand waving, and a lot of pointing.
Yeah. So like there is one specific storyline in some of the older comics involving a dark wand where Sabrina, you casted a spell off that to save the town or something like that.
But she got tainted or something?
Yeah, she got tainted, and so part of the old struggle too was Sabrina was a half mortal, half witch, really good girl, and the witch world was kind of more evil portrayed, kind of like in the Chilling Adventures.
Yeah.
But in the 96 live action, they made the witch world, it was actually like the witch realm.
Very PC.
So it was like a totally separate realm from the mortal world, where previously they kind of coexisted. It's just like kind of hidden.
This was like a walk through the closet to Narnia kind
They
of.
walked through the closet to the witch realm.
Yeah.
And so it was an actual separate space than existing within the realm of Earth.
I remember from the TV show, everything was always spinning.
Yeah.
Like everything was always swirly kind of in the wizard world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But everything had that kind of like bright, cheery, PC, vibey glow to it, as opposed to like you said in Chilling Adventures, everything's much darker and satanic and blood and guts and gores and rituals.
Another thing too is they created the storyline. So in a lot of the storylines, her parents are either... So in a lot of the storylines, her father is usually dead, along with her mother. In Chilling Adventures, the comics, it's a little different.
Oh.
But in the live action show, they made it so that her father is dead, but her mother is alive, but there's something involving her witch powers and her still being in training, that if she actually were to meet her mother after her powers manifested, which is why she moves in with her aunts, her mother would turn to stone and essentially be dead.
And this is in the comic storyline?
This isn't in the comic storyline. This is in the live-action 96 show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's why she never meets her mom.
That's why you only ever see her looking through, like, the crystal ball at her mom.
Yeah.
And her mom's, like, the archaeologist off and
and
about.
she's always just kind of gazing from afar.
Yeah.
She contacts her a few times, kind of pen pal.
Yeah, but they never actually meet in person in the show because of that.
Okay. And it's because she's still in training?
Yeah.
Once she's fully
trained, she should be able to safely see her mom
without Medusa.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good bit of clarity there, because I wasn't always sure why they didn't meet. It was always, I want to see my mom, I want to meet my mom.
Yeah.
We have the chance, go.
Yeah. And going back, so with the live action, they made the witch realm basically good. There is obviously some evil points, and they made the ants good. Yeah. With the older comics, a lot of it was about trying to get... There was, like, hijinks of magic, but also there was, like, the underlying storylines of trying to get Sabrina to become a little more like an evil witch, where she was always, like, the really goody two-shoes, wanting to help everyone.
They wanted her to do things for personal gain.
Yeah.
Essentially. Like, she didn't have to be bad, but she had to be selfish, more so.
Yeah.
Less selfless.
They wanted her to turn towards the more evil. And also with this one, they removed any hints, like, obviously with the evil, but also any hints of, like, the magic being tied to, like, some of them, and especially in Chilling Adventures, it's tied directly to Satan, and in other storylines, it's tied to, like, more evil forces. Yes. So they removed any hint of that as well. So they did make it, like, a PG version, and it did go on for 7 seasons and 2 spin-off movies.
It went for a long time. I remember watching many of those episodes.
All of the reruns. There is a bit of an evil storyline to it. Like, there's obviously...
Not till, like, season 6, I want to say.
Yeah. So there is obviously, like, evil witches and, like, wizards exist. Because we know Salem, who gets trapped... It does actually happen in the original comics, too. His storyline comes in. But he tried to take over the world using magic, and the Witches' Council was like, nah, not happening.
Bad. Spray bottle.
Mm-hmm. So that's how they... So they do keep Caleb...
What did they... Ambro? No.
So they do keep Salem. So Ambrose is actually an old character from the original Sabrina comics. I don't remember who
he was, because he's not in the 90s spin-off.
No. So around the mid-90s, Ambrose actually gets kind of dropped from the comics, and Salem fulfills his role. So Ambrose was always a cousin that came from the old country.
Yes.
And he was basically Sabrina's conscience and, like, helping her do stuff.
Her voice of reason, so to speak.
And so in the 96 TV show, we obviously see that Salem takes over that role. And even in, like, the animated TV show that happened around the
Salem
same time.
again, yeah.
It was Salem, and so a lot of it happened with Salem being like the voice of reason and taking over, and also kind of like spurring her to do some other stuff too.
Yes.
But so Ambrose was basically replaced by Salem, but now with the Chilling Adventures, they have essentially merged back over to Ambrose.
They brought him back in.
Yeah, with him taking over Salem's storylines as well. Because like in the Chilling Adventures TV show, Ambrose is under house arrest because he tried to blow up the Vatican.
Yes.
Which is kind of similar to Salem's story of him trying to take over the world.
Yeah, they were both maniacal trying to go for the big.
So
the big haul.
Salem and Chilling Adventures, particularly the TV show, doesn't actually talk, although they have mentioned that he might eventually start talking because he's Sabrina's familiar.
Well, going into the next season, she's supposed to take the familiar to hell.
Yeah.
Right? Only the familiar can accompany her to hell, on the search for Nick. So being her only companion, I'm going to assume they do some weird bypass thing because she's in hell. She can talk to the cat now.
Well, there is also, it is mentioned like in the TV show that people's familiars can, like people and their familiars can talk to each other.
They can communicate.
Yeah.
Is it through like kind of link?
It's kind of, because we do see
Nick talking to his werewolf familiar.
Yeah, and we also see Lilith talking to the crow a lot as well, and we see like the crow kind of like cawing back and her being right.
Now at the end, doesn't the crow betray her?
Yeah, the crow gets blown up in the end because he betrays Lilith about Adam to Satan.
Yes. Snitches.
Yeah. Snitches get blown up.
No stitches. We went past those. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, right to the blowing up. And then, I guess one of the things that stays consistent is always being with her aunts.
Yeah.
It's always Zelda and Hilda.
It's always Hilda, Zelda, Sabrina, and there's usually a Salem.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's an uncle as well, like the animated.
Who's the uncle?
Sometimes it's Ambrose. Sometimes it's just like a generic uncle who's also a wizard.
Okay.
Like the 99 animated TV series, which also had a movie and continuation series.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That
one was Teletoon,
Teletoon in Canada.
Yeah.
And so there was an uncle in that one, kind of like short, fat, with a white beard. It wasn't Ambrose. It was kind of just like a major, like...
Just some general...
Yeah, just general uncle who's a wizard, just to not have another figure there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Need a more male audience in the show of all female witches.
So, and then some other familiar characters that happen within the show is so we see Roz in the Chilling Adventures. She's in the comic, in the TV show. And she's also...
And who's Roz? Oh, okay, Roz.
Her best friend with
the psychic?
Yeah, the psychic.
Okay.
She's also based upon an original character went by Roz. But when they first came out with her, she was the antagonist to Sabrina.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so like that happened before. And then again, it was around... So there was like a lot of shifts in the 90s surrounding Sabrina and the characters. It was around then that Roz became a good character and like a friend with Sabrina, and she kind of
the timeline fits. Yeah,
yeah. She also kind of disappeared away because of that. And then there is Libby, who is really popular. She's the main antagonist in the live action '96 series.
Yes. I know who you're talking about.
She does kind of become friends with Sabrina, but she was introduced as an antagonist as well.
After school rival.
Yeah, because she was like the cheerleader as well.
Yeah.
And so she's one of the main antagonists as well. And she's also found in some of the comic, but she's not found in the Chilling Adventure series.
No, they haven't really shown her, but instead they have the three witch sisters.
Yeah, Prudence and Agatha and Dorcas. We stand Prudence.
Yes, Prudence is the best.
But as we can see at the end of season 2, they're gonna need a more... Like, Prudence is off with Ambrose trying to deal with Father Blackwood. So they probably won't really have Prudence and the Weird Sisters as the main as like the episode antagonist.
They don't need to. I feel like they're gonna do more demons and more of the devil tugging at her and more. Well, they're in hell. Like they have a whole new cast to choose from. Essentially, that they don't really need to continue with anyone from season 1 or 2.
Yeah, and there's also the part of it might also be about them trying to find the silver spear, and because it's like Satan mentioned, like after Sabrina stabbed him, that the only thing that could kill him would be the silver spear. Spear. S-P-E-A-R. So if they actually want to try and stop him, actually permanently kill him, so that Madam Satan can rule all forever, then they'd have to find the silver spear.
Hey, see, that's a good suggestion from Ebroxon there. What about Popeye? I almost got you to wear a Popeye shirt today.
I mean, you do have one up there.
We do.
Could do that.
We're only allowed to do characters I have shirts of, guys. We're on a budget, and I don't want... I'm just kidding. I'll buy more shirts.
No matter what, he'll buy the shirts.
So one of the points you said earlier was in the 90s series with the live action, it started to take a darker twist towards the end of the series. Now, we didn't really say what or why. One of the episodes I remember was Rumpelstiltskin. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. So at some point, I think it was in the witch world. Sabrina's in, she's running around, she meets Rumpelstiltskin. And it was like, he's hanging at some like old tower and, typical storyline, spinning strata gold, right? And he's like, alright, guess my name. If you can't guess my name, you have to marry me or something. So he tries to trick Sabrina into marrying him. And I think she ends up escaping, and then farther down the road, it's the devil again who's trying to get her to marry her. And so they stuck with that same plot line. Almost, sort of. Right? Because essentially she's supposed to be in the Chilling Adventures, the devil's bride.
Yeah, and daughter, which is very creepy.
They're doing that a lot these days.
Yeah.
Huh? Jesus, fucking Game of Thrones. Set the bar high on that one, and now, okay, Sabrina's gonna follow suit. Mm-hmm. Like, how is it his daughter, though?
So, the way it's implied in the TV show is that Edward and Sabrina's mom, they went to the devil and was like, hey, we would like permission to marry and have a child. And the devil was basically like, yeah, sure, yeah, go do that. And he's just like, dude, like, he basically puts a child in her because...
sperm donor?
Yeah. So he basically, because they asked him to help have a child because they were struggling to have a child. So the devil was basically, yeah, I'll give you guys a child. I won't say it's Edward's. So basically it's supposed to be like the devil's child and like Sabrina's mom. Like it's supposed to be like a mix of theirs. Which is how towards the end of season 2 she does get the like major power upgrade when she basically gets
when the angels
killed.
Come.
Yeah.
And they shoot
after
her,
she gets killed
3 times with arrows, like pling, 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 like, and then boom, starts levitating
before she siphons her powers off with the mandrake. And
yes.
The big question too, at the end when Lilith restores her powers, did she restore her normal witch powers or her full Satan powers?
Does she have that ability?
Well, she's now the head of
the
hell. Lilith. She's the queen of hell now, so she has the full power of hell.
She got an upgrade.
So technically Lilith has power now.
Okay, so that's a viable option. Maybe she did restore her full power.
Yeah, the question is whether she did it how it was previously, where it's behind like a lock, or whether she has the... Because her getting the full powers is a little bit of like a... Well, going to hell, it might be useful, having like her full powers.
Yeah.
Versus going to... Because with her full powers, she was able to do non-equivalent magic. The magic in the show is kind of played off how alchemy is. It needs an equivalent exchange, which is why maybe a future episode involving that.
Full Metal Alchemist.
But
Brotherhood, of course.
Yeah. The other one, shit.
Yeah. I started with the other one, stopped halfway through, and started Brotherhood over.
But so, like, we see the need for, like, the equivalent exchange with when Sabrina tries to bring Harvey's brother back. Because only his body comes back, and he's kind of like a weird, like, soulless thing.
There, yeah.
And it's because... And we also see that one of the weird sisters who was sacrificed and then, like, put back in the grave is coughing up and, like, basically regurgitating the dirt.
Sick, yeah.
She's getting sicker and sicker because in order to bring someone back, you have to sacrifice someone. But having both alive, you're messing with the balance. And the world is like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, the tails have been... the scales have been tilted until balance, like, you're both suffering, essentially.
So with her full powers, she would be able to do something like that. But with her normal witch powers, she's limited to what she can
equivalent
exchange.
Yeah. So whatever she can give, if she wants to, cut off her hand, she can get back a hand.
Yeah. And, like, the magic is something... we touched on this a little earlier in terms of some of them required wand, but the magic is something that changes throughout some of them, because especially with the TV show, she's able to do most of her magic kind of, like, unspoken.
Willy-nilly, yeah.
Yeah. But with, especially in, like, you see it in Chilling Adventures, and a little bit in the 96 live action, but a lot of it, that has to tie into her not being fully trained, that she has to use a spell to do some
somatic
magic
components and some hand gestures.
Gestures. We also see her, like, wrapping the twine to summon the Weird Sisters.
Yeah.
The binding spell.
Okay.
Or even going out and, like, her calling to the
spirits?
The spirit to invoke someone to become her familiar, which is where we eventually get Salem from. So we see a lot of her is having to use a spell versus when she had her full powers.
Or having some kind of relic or totem to kind of channel through.
Like a druid.
Oh!
So there is that connection and changes in magic in the show too. And so with Chilling Adventures, she was actually supposed to be introduced in Riverdale before she got her own series. So there was talk of so it was originally planned to have her introduced in the Season 1, the finale.
That would have been sweet.
Have her play some roles, because I know there's a storyline involving, like, witches and covens.
In Archie.
In Riverdale.
In Riverdale?
There's, I think in Season 3 has something involving like, magic.
Yeah.
So, like, she could have played into that. But, so, they actually decided to cancel that because they thought her coming in would reduce much of the impact of the episode.
Yeah, because the Season 1 went out with a bang of the Black Hood, I think.
Yeah. So, the creator said that it's still coming because... They are set in the same universe, like Riverdale.
They're gonna do crossover?
Yeah, they are planning. And if you look in the first season of Sabrina Chilling Adventures, you can actually see a few characters in the background from Riverdale. Like, it's not like...
Like serpents, like you'll catch an odd jacket or something? Or...
No, like it was an actual full character cameo walking in the background.
Oh, no way.
And they do both mention the towns.
They say Riverdale, they say Greendale, they mention, just over the river, just in the next town. They do a bunch of, relevant things.
They do mention, and they are both produced within Netflix. The Riverdale is also co-produced with CW, which is why it has a TV premiere. But they are still part of the Netflix property universe. So, and the same creator working on both.
Okay.
So he has mentioned about wanting to do a crossover, and he said it's still in the works as long as Riverdale is going.
Nah, we'll see if they make it that far. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, like you said, still got 2 more seasons. Archie's still got at least 1 more?
Probably at least 1 more.
At least 1 more. Now, did you ever watch Archie's Weird Mysteries? The cartoon?
Yes.
Oh, I loved that one. That was probably the most Archie's I've ever watched. Or, like, that is where all my Archie knowledge comes from.
I do believe Sabrina does make a few appearances in
I was gonna say, I think she does, based on it being the Weird Mysteries. They're dealing with werewolves, and they're dealing with alien invasions, and they're dealing with magic and spells, and witches and covens, and vampires and crap, so I'm pretty sure she makes a debut on that one.
Yeah, because she does appear, she does have her own series, but she does also appear in a lot of the like Archie TV shows.
Yeah.
Like she appeared in she was in an Archie's TV show back in the 70s, and then she got her own spin-off from that called Sabrina the Teenage Witch show. And then from that, there was another spin-off that was made called the Groovy Ghoulies. You can tell the 70s. But so like Sabrina's own show ran for 4 seasons, and then her spin-off, which was basically followed her cousins, called the Groovy Ghoulies. It got its own series and like lasted for a season.
Ghoulies. Now, does that have any relevance to Riverdale's the Ghoulie gang?
It could.
Maybe she got some cousins or something in the gang. Because
she does have, like, it could be a hint towards family that she has over in Riverdale, or even like someone connected. Because I believe there is also mention about there being usually a coven is probably like area orientated. So it's probably like there's one coven for Greendale, one coven for
Wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
Riverdale. And fun fact, and actually the Chilling Adventures comic, Betty and Veronica are actually they're witches in the Chilling Adventures comic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're like fledgling
witches.
Yes, and it's actually they accidentally release Lilith because let's just touch into the comic. So Edward and Diana, they are Sabrina's mom. They're both alive in the comics.
Well, mom and dad, right?
Mom and dad are alive, but they're separated. Some crazy shit happens. Her dad is totally batshit crazy. So, Edward, her dad, Sabrina's dad, used to date Lilith, but she went as the name Lola. And then he broke up with her after wanting to pursue Sabrina's mom. And then after Sabrina's mom got pregnant, and she refused to give up the baby to Edward and the Church of Night, which is their coven, he turned her crazy. Like, basically scrambled her mom's mind, and she went off to an institution. And then because of that, the witches, Hilda and Zelda, trapped him in a tree, they took Sabrina and raised her.
And this is in what storyline again?
This is in the Chilling Adventures comic.
Oh, okay.
And so after Edward broke up with Lilith,
Lola.
I can't speak today.
Lola.
Lilith. She committed suicide and was sent to basically the Faceless Pit, and it's a special area in hell reserved for people who commit suicide, and she was trapped there until Betty and Veronica accidentally release her, and then she's able to take a new form and face, and she winds up burning the tree that had Edward in it.
So he dies. Oh, no.
So basically Lilith is out to get revenge on
Edward and the family?
On the Spellman family. And then
bloodlines, man.
So, as mentioned earlier, Harvey, in the Chilling Adventure storyline, finds out about Sabrina being a witch. Now, this is the part where we really hate the ants. They kill Harvey. Because
he found out.
Because he found out. Now,
that doesn't go well.
Lilith recruits Betty and Veronica to help her with a resurrection spell for Harvey, just to bring him back. But something happens, and Edward's soul gets stuck in Harvey.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
And so Edward is back, and Sabrina thinks Harvey is back. So more of this bullshit.
How is Edward's and Sabrina's relation, or did we not say?
Edward
basically parents were split, scrambled mama's brains. She wound up in the insane asylum.
Edward is estranged from Sabrina. They have had no contact because he's been stuck in a tree her whole life.
Oh yeah, like I wasn't sure at what age that all kind of happened. When
so
she
it was like
young,
as she was a baby.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Lilith, as an act against, Edward actually does restore Sabrina's mom's mind.
Oh, well,
But
that's nice of her.
Because she's in an institution, she can't convince them to let her out. So she does actually make like a dream contact with Sabrina, but Sabrina forgets it all when she wakes up.
Fucking crazy. Let me out.
And
you've been crazy for way too long to believe that shit.
So Hilda and Zelda, obviously powerful witches, think that resurrection isn't a good thing, and they think Sabrina is the one that resurrected Harvey. But so they both
misuse of power.
Yeah, so they both try and take down Harvey again, but Sabrina keeps defending him, and then that's about where the storyline ends because it's still going.
Okay, so to be continued.
Yeah, so it's still being written, but obviously, if you've seen the Chilling Adventures series, you obviously know there's massive differences between them.
Yeah, like
because
none of that
first of
stuff
all,
happens.
Edward and Diana are killed, and it's implied that it was killed by the Church of Night, or at least Satan.
Yeah, like...
So one of them had a hand in their deaths, because they wanted their hands on Sabrina.
And they were in the way.
Essentially. Because they both didn't want... Diana especially didn't want Sabrina to go down the path of night.
No, wasn't it Edward who signed her name in the book?
Yes, Edward signed her name in the book. But you gotta remember, it said it was like 2 days before that Diana had her baptized. Because
null and void.
Yeah, well, so she was...
So it canceled out.
Yeah, so Diana had her baptized because she knew Edward was gonna do that. And so there's the whole storyline about that, because that's how Aunt Hilda gets excommunicated from the Church of Night in the first season, because she witnessed and helped with the baptism. And that's that's also why when the angels come, Sabrina is able to enter the
place,
the church.
Yeah.
Because they basically like resealed it for God, but because Sabrina was baptized, she's able to enter that and then get shot 3 times and unlocks a massive power boost.
She got that 1 XP she needed to level up and get...
Yeah. So there is obviously differences. There's also in the Chilling Adventures comic, Roz is a figure that the ants don't really trust, but Sabrina's like, oh no, I trust her, because they think she's hiding something.
Well, just the fact that she's a psychic.
Yeah. But in the TV show, obviously we see that she's really good friends with Theo, Harvey, and Roz.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like she
is Theo in the other in the comic line?
I don't believe so.
That was just a TV add-in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Theo, or at least I can't remember. But so like we obviously see Sabrina wanting to help everyone.
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes wrong, like with Harvey's brother.
Yeah, because she's still learning, right? Like her magic, when she does shit, sometimes she whoopsies.
Mm-hmm. And then we also see her actually helping, like with Theo, get onto the basketball team, and like Theo even noticed it and actually like stands up to Roz and Harvey about how Sabrina's her friend and is good, because like especially when they were questioning it.
Yeah.
And Theo is just like, no, Sabrina helped me get on there. She's our friend. She's
I was missing every shot before that. She started casting spells.
Yeah, I saw her up in the sands helping me out, like casting a few spells.
She's on our team, guys. Like, come on, fuck off. Yeah, because everyone's like morale's kind of down. They're all doubting, who's my friend, who's my foe, who's my ally here, and she's kind of like, all right, pep talk. Cut the shit. She's on our team, so fuck off. All right, she's with us. It's like, okay, fine, sorry.
Yeah.
Where are we here?
We could highlight a few interesting crossovers that have happened.
Oh, we never mentioned the name of the spin-off movies from the '96 show.
Oh yeah, so the '96 show had Sabrina Goes to Rome, which is basically her going to Rome, obviously, but it's also the last place where one of her aunts from the 16th century was last seen, and there's hijinks, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but I believe they actually do find her.
Ooh. So she meets an old relative?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's also Sabrina Down Under, which takes place in Australia.
No.
She goes to Australia, and she helps a group of mermaids to save a reef area and like help like clean up pollution and that from like a company that's like polluting into it, but also trying to like rip down, like take over and like basically strip mine part of like the coral reef, and she basically helps the mermaids with that. There is also the conclusion to the show functions as a movie, but also as like the final 2 episodes, and part of it revolves around the Spellman family secret that they have in the show, which is basically that every Spellman is born with a twin, and so one is good, one is bad.
Where do all the bad ones go? So
the way they judge it is both of them go up to an edge of a volcano, and the good one is supposed to push the bad one in. But so basically it's a trick, because witches don't get killed by lava. They just get like it stuck everywhere. It's apparently worse than sand. So what always happens is the bad twin pushes the good twin in, because they're like, oh, I'm the good one, push, and then you know that's the bad twin, and they get sent to basically a parallel world, which is full of all the bad ones. So basically, like, everyone's duplicate bad.
Everything's just going to hell there, okay?
Yeah. So basically, if you're like good in this world, you're bad in that one. If you're bad in this one, you're good in that one. So it does like kind of balance out.
So sometimes the bad one does win, and they're allowed to stay.
Yeah, but like usually they do figure out which one is the good one, which is the bad one, and the bad one gets sent away, and the good one stays.
I remember that was one of the episodes. Someone was like impersonating someone. Mm-hmm. Weren't they in the wrong realm? And they're like, no, like, you're the bad one. You need to go back over there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we mentioned the other day how when they're running around on all their quests and missions, Sabrina's essentially just a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bunch of one-shot adventures and, encounters, such as down in the mines, right? And that was just like a recon mission. Just let's go see what's going on. Oh, it's bad shit. Let's get the hell out of here. Mm-hmm. Like when what was that, the Gate to Hell? The Gate to Hell, when they were trying to close and like cast a spell to like keep them restricted. So they were essentially just like Roz was like, well, Harvey was the one. So Roz had the spell, and then she was using Harvey to basically like write down the spell. And then Theo was the one placing all the spell pieces, and to like basically seal a gate. Yeah, so it was kind of like the 3 people in the campaign party, each doing their role. You got the intelligent wizard who can cast the spell, and then you got the scribe or the bard or whatever the hell can read the random language it's in, and then you got the rogue putting all the puzzle pieces in the lock. And I'm sitting there being like, this is a fucking D&D adventure. I'm looking at this. And then there's also them, like when they're pulling one over on Satan, in the masquerade scene. Yeah. So they're like using stealth, because like Theo, Harvey, and them are all there. Yeah, and then they start chanting at some point, because they have them all bought in, being like, yeah, this is what you want, this is what you want. And then they start singing some song or chanting. Yeah. And he's like, wait a minute, what are you saying? You can even see that Theo, Harvey, and Roz are all helping chant it as well. Mm-hmm. So they're helping cast the spell and the protection. Yeah, so it's kind of like they got the crowd going. Well, it reminded me of one of the long ago episodes. One of our episodes, we were trying to get into a city, and there's a riot basically going on outside the city. The good old riot episode, yeah. That's basically what they kind of did. They incited a riot, they got the crowd going, and they got everyone on the team, and boom, upside. They also did they pulled the wool over like Satan's eyes. When he was going to meet her at the masquerade where they're casting the spell, because most of the people that were there were actually just an illusion. Oh, true, yes. Because it was literally just Madame Satan, the Aunt Hilda, Aunt Zelda, Roz, Nick, Sabrina. Basically just their team. It was just basically their team. And then they made it look... And they cast illusion to It was almost like the Van Helsing scene where he goes into the house and it's a big masquerade ball and he sees all the people everywhere, but then... when the fight starts, all of a sudden everyone's a vampire. Mm-hmm. He's like, holy shit, I did not know that. So it's same kind of concept that walked into a room full of, hey, I think this is okay, and it turned out to be everyone was against it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, when they kind of stabbed the 2 daggers into his back at the end, right? Again, it was like, okay, initiative, you go, you go, you go, and each person was just trying to draw his attention to leave him exposed for the final hit.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. I was like, yes, the sneak attack. So I'm sitting here looking and laughing, being like, man, Sabrina's just a D&D adventure. How funny would that be to play in that campaign world, where it's almost like a modern day world, but with the three planes, hell, earth, heaven, and then there's magic still, but not. It's basically you have magic, or you're a villager.
Yeah. Or you could also bring in the angels as well.
Oh man, that's cool.
Because you could have it where your magic's tied to good, or your magic's tied to evil, and then you could...
ASMRs and tieflings.
Yeah.
I feel you. Alright, so have we gone through our script of shows here? So we got... It's originated in Archie's Madhouse number 22.
Yeah.
In the bunch of one-shots. Then we got the Sabrina the Teenage Witch show in the 70s.
Yeah.
Ran for 4 seasons, and that was a spin-off of the Archie show at the time. And it also had the spin-off called Groovy Ghoulies, who were their cousins in the show.
And then her first solo series came in 71 and ran for 77 issues.
And that was the comic series anyways.
Yeah, that was Sabrina's own standalone comic series.
And that was the Teenage Witch.
Yeah, so that was her...
77 issues over, what was that, 12-year period, 71 to 83?
Yeah.
Okay, and then they finalized that comic line?
Yeah. So, and then it came the 96 series, like the live-action series.
Melissa Joan Hart, yeah.
Yeah, and then there was a new Sabrina comic which came 97 to 99, and it actually... So, the 97 comic and then the later 2000 comic drew inspiration from the shows that were running. So, the 97 to 99 drew inspiration from the 96 TV show.
That's awesome.
Brought in a more realistic art style. Also took elements from the show of having Sabrina living with the ants more, and also Sabrina, like, the different side of magic, and also making it more good magic.
A lot more of a modernized world too, right?
It was a more modernized. And then we had the Sabrina, the animated series in 99, which ran for 1 season, but it was like 67 episodes.
Oh, wow.
And then it also had a movie. And then there was... and then a spin-off
Sabrina's
series as well.
Secret Life, right?
That was the spin-off.
Yeah, for the series, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so she did the voices for her aunts in the TV series from the 99.
Yeah, so Melissa Joan Hart, the Sabrina from the 96 live action, did the voices for Hilda and Zelda.
Now, did she do Sabrina too?
No. For the animated series, it started in 99.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so basically, we had non-stop, like, new Sabrina crap coming out from 96 all the way to 99. Between the show, which ran for 7 seasons, to... the new comic issue, and then the animated series. Yeah. Holy crap.
There was actually new stuff that ran all the way through to about 2004.
Well, yeah, because then we had the other, Sabrina Comic 2000.
Yeah, so
which was featured in the animated series, right?
Yeah.
Till 2004.
It was a tie-in to the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was also a... so that one went up to about 2004, the comic there, and then they switched styles and did a manga-inspired comic series. It wrapped up in 20.
Wrapped up in
no.
29.98. So,
no. But it wrapped up around like 2010. It ran for about 5 or 6 years. So it went from 2004, and then also from the manga style, there was a flashback involving Salem's history.
Ooh, and young Salem stories.
Yeah, so there was like a little mini-series spin-off of Salem pre him being caught and like turned into a cat. And so it was actually inspired by a little flashback that happened in the manga-inspired one.
And then something completely non-related, there's also a Salem TV series about witches in the town of Salem.
Fun fact, so in some of the versions for Salem, I think it's the Chilling Adventures comic. Salem is trapped as a cat because, well, so his name was Samuel. He lived in Salem, and he was trapped as a cat after getting a witch who no one knew was a witch pregnant and not marrying her. So the witches of Salem turned Samuel into Salem the cat.
Should have married her, huh?
Basically.
Oh, live and learn, bud.
Mm-hmm. And then, so after the manga series and the Young Salem series, there was also a Sabrina. So the manga series diverged from the 97 and 2000 comic series, where they didn't have any tie-in to any of the shows. They're like complete standalone.
Yeah.
There is also Sabrina, Secrets of a Teenage Witch TV show, which changed some of Sabrina's backstory.
Now, was that 2013?
Yeah, that was 2013.
So that was probably a lot more recent than a lot of these other stories.
So that's like the most recent series pre-Chilling Adventures. And some of the big changes, it is kind of in Chilling Adventures, the TV show. So she, in the 2013 series, she is the princess of the magic world and is destined to rule the magic world.
The witch princess.
Yeah, which is kind of like in Chilling Adventures, where she's the daughter of Satan destined to rule over hell and earth with Satan.
Ruler or something,
yeah. And then, so after the Secrets of Teenage Witch, it then moves into the new Riverdale series, where she was introduced and does still kind of play a part a bit.
Okay.
And she was supposed to have her own spin-off from that, but it was announced in 2017 that, because there was a pilot comic for her, and it was rumored that if that did well, she would get her own spin-off in the new Riverdale comic series, but nothing ever materialized from it, and they canceled it.
Oh well. They tried. Now, one of the things here we have listed is in the Chilling TV, there's supposed to be a Monster of the Week.
So there is kind of a Monster of the Week, because we have, well, it's not really a monster per se. It's more like the antagonist of the week.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like Father Blackwood.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's also the
Lilith or something.
Lilith fucking something up, or the angels. Technically, that's a monster of the week.
Yeah.
And there's also
encounter of the week.
Yeah, and then there's also in the previous season, in season 1.
Where's our dog emote? Fire that dog emote up.
It'll come.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Bowser, come here, buddy.
So there is a monster or a creature.
Currently, we have 2 monster creatures right here. They're kind of noisy.
The funnest one.
At least these ones give you attention in nice ways, not just rip your limbs off.
As Cthulhu 42 says, they seem to have a new supernatural problem of the week.
Yeah.
Sabrina does have a pretty extensive history, which is kind of surprising.
There is a lot more Sabrina than I thought there was, too.
So Archie started back in the 40s, and Sabrina came out, introduced in the, I want to say 60s? I forget specifically. But she does have a pretty extensive history, which is really funny, and
yeah, I did not know.
Weird.
I did not know, she went back that far, that she originated in
1962
the Archie world.
is when she first appeared in the Archie's Madhouse.
Carry the one. Where was that? 57 years?
Yeah. Something like
She's
that.
old, guys.
But she's still a teenager.
She doesn't look a day over. How old is she?
She's 16 in the Chilling Adventures.
Yeah.
Usually that's about when she is.
Okay, she's at that teenage angst years.
Yeah.
That threshold of spontaneous.
I'm gonna rebel and do all this magic stuff that's gonna cause me a bunch of problems.
Flipendo! All right, so some of the team ups and sidekicks. Other note. Oh, that is.
So there was a storyline
Typos.
where Sabrina actually had a crossover with Sonic the Hedgehog.
What? Explain. Explain.
So
She better not be in the new Sonic movie.
oh, I mean, it might make it better.
I watched the trailer. I was like,
I am
okay.
yeah.
That's about it. Okay.
I am happy that they decided to push the date for that.
Well, yeah. They pushed it twice, haven't they?
They pushed it to 2020 to allow them to redesign it. So
Do better?
yes, please. Do you know there's a Sonic manga?
I'm sure there's a manga for almost everything.
Yeah, just like for Zelda.
Now, what is the crossover with Sabrina and Sonic?
Dogs.
The dogs.
So it happened in issue number 27 of Sabrina, and it was called
Bowser. Shh.
So it was referred to as like the Sonic Super Special Crossover Chaos.
Alright, what happened?
So Sonic is brought to Greendale from like his home world and is used
From Mobius. Mobius is his home world?
Yeah, that's like his home world.
Okay.
And he's brainwashed into attacking Sabrina.
Okay.
And so basically Sabrina like breaks him out of the brainwashing and like they go and face the person and like basically get him sent back.
Salem's a fan of Sonic.
Yeah, and Salem is a
Sonic.
fan of Sonic and has read and watched Sonic Adventures and like his various media.
I love you. I'm your biggest fan.
So in that it's implied that Sonic exists in like a almost like a parallel. So it'd be like us knowing about like Star Wars, but it also taking place.
Oh, okay.
So it's implied that like Sonic exists in the world as a character in like comics and adventure games, but Sonic is actually a real person and his like stuff that we know is just a history retelling of him.
Do we have anything like that?
Not necessarily. A lot of the stuff
I'm trying to think what would relate.
a lot of the stuff that we more have involves kind of more science fiction in a way predicting how technology goes.
Yeah.
Like how the like communicators from Star Trek
Oh.
resemble cell phones and like the tricorders are cell phone style like that.
What's that new show? The
Black Mirror?
Black Mirror. Black Mirror
Yeah.
is like it because on a bunch of those episodes it's like something that is actually relevant in today's society that we're like, yeah, that's never gonna happen, but it is.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Like the social credit score over in China.
Precisely.
Which there was a whole Black Mirror episode basically about that.
Yep.
So that's a really interesting spin-off that happened. And that happened pre-manga. Pre-manga installed.
Okay.
Because it was around episode number 58 where the manga-inspired version happens, where Sonic was around issue number 28.
Well, they did it.
And then there's obviously the crossovers with Archie and the gang.
Yep.
Because she has a bunch of adventures with them from like the old series all the way up to the new series, and then the possible crossover with Riverdale.
Now, is Nick in just Chilling Adventures, or is he in a bunch of the other stuff before? I feel like he was in the 96 one at one point with Melissa Joan Hart. Nick Scratch, like her boyfriend?
Yeah, like there is, so it's been a while since I've seen it, but there might be...
Like, I think he's just a suitor.
Yeah.
In the 96 Melissa
So
Joan
it might
Hart.
be someone she goes and does stuff with when she's broken up with Harvey, because that happens a fair bit in the 96 series.
They're off.
But
it's high school.
particularly when she's off in college in like the latter seasons of it.
Oh. Those days.
Yeah. So Nick could be an amalgamation of other people, but
Okay.
could also exist in other places.
And then, so we got,
We got Theo, who mostly appears in Chilling Adventures. Harvey, which has been there since basically the beginning. I don't believe I haven't ever actually read her origin one, like the one-off.
to see if Harvey's in
Yeah.
episode 1.
Cthulhu 42. Never personally been much of a fan of Archie, even as a kid. I personally used to always enjoy reading the Archie comics. Always the one like right at the cash register when you're with your parents and you're like, can I get this? Can I get this?
Archie for me started in the washroom, okay? You go to your grandparents, you're like, I use the washroom. They got all the fucking Reader's Digest there. Well, guess what? Archie's in like all those. And then from there, like we said earlier, Archie's Weird Mysteries. That was what really, kicked it off for me. Because it wasn't just Archie's anymore. It wasn't just him in the small town with Jughead and Tweedledee and Tweedledum. It was cool shit. It was like Goosebumps meets Archie's. And I was like, all right, I can roll with this. That's pretty cool. I think we've gotten to the finale here where we're just going to sum up some key details. So one of the big differences in the Chilling Adventure comic line versus the Netflix series, when Harvey finds out she's a witch, he's killed by Hilda and Zelda.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty pivotal. So obviously in the TV series he lives. He does not get killed by them.
Yeah.
That's good.
The jury's still out on season 3 and 4.
Maybe.
We might also see because it has. I believe it's been stated that Harvey is endgame for the show. So something is obviously going to happen, which gets Harvey back with Sabrina. Whether something happens to Roz or not. Hopefully nothing does. Hopefully they can all just be happy together.
Happily ever after. We heard that one before, right? And then another one here is that her parents are alive in the comic, but in this they are dead. Yes. Other than that, I'd say those are the big two main switches between comic and show.
Those have really big effects on the comic and the show. Because, like, Edward is a giant douchebag in the comic, and he's
just not relevant in the show, yeah?
Yeah, he's just a figure talked about in the past, and about how good he was. And people compare him to, compare Sabrina and him.
Oh, you're just like your dad, and, you're pure heart, blah, blah, blah. Grandma owned a general store, so it does remind me. Yep, you know what I'm talking about. All right, well, I think that sums up everything we have to talk about Sabrina for today.
Unless you guys have any questions.
Yeah, any questions, comments, concerns, please file them now.
You have
T-minus 60 seconds and counting until your chat updates on our screen.
Yeah. So next week, Mitch will be back.
Mitch will be back. I think we're going to continue with the 8 p.m. start time. It's just a little easier for everyone depending on who's going to be there that week. And so going forward, 8 p.m. start time, it's going to stay. So thanks for showing up today. Next week, like you said, Mitch will be back. So it's going to be Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman will be the topic of discussion. So if you haven't seen the movie, please take the week to watch the movie so we're not ruining...
Or at least read the Wikipedia summary.
Just inform yourself, the tidbits, get the Coles notes. We just don't want to blow a bunch of spoilers, although we probably did that for many people last week with our Infinity War / Infinity Gauntlet talk. But we gave you about a month, so we're not sorry.
Yeah.
No questions here, so we're going to call it a day, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Justin.
I'm Kenny.
And this is Nerdforge's Worlds Collide. So this is episode 4, talking about Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, and the Chilling Adventures Netflix series. We'll see you same time, same place next week, 8 p.m. Saturday.
See ya.